Hello friends, I am Shelly Clough and today is day 2 of watercolor Christmas tags, and this is the tag that we're going to be learning how to do today. I will walk you through my supplies and then show you how to put this together. So for the tags themselves, I just use this Canson XL watercolor paper, so just normal, kind of what I use all the time, but I also have some card punches that I use. I have a few of them and I'll link them down below. And all I do is I take a sheet of watercolor paper and then I go ahead and punch it with one of my punches. Comes right through. I've had good success with this brand. It cuts through the watercolor paper really nicely. Okay, so you can see that this shape of tag is just slightly different from this one and a little bit bigger. So I have two different punches. They both work great, but we'll stick with this one today. And the first thing I'm going to do, more supplies. I've got my paints here. Just my starter palette that's linked all below if you want to know the colors I'm using. For my brush today, I'm going to use this size 4 brush by Winsor & Newton from their Cotman line. It's got a nice small tip on it, so it would be good for these little leaves. And then I'm also going to be using my Micron 01 size pen. Okay, so let's dive in. So the first thing I'm going to do is paint these leaves on. And for the leaves, I'm going to use, I have some color mixed up here. That is just Viridian Green mixed with burnt umber, and I'm going to add a little bit of sap green to that. Sap green is a really bright, more yellow leafy green, and I feel like these leaves do well with just a little bit of that brightness in there. So I'm adding some of that to my mix. You can do just about any green, but just make sure it's pretty concentrated because we're not going to do a lot of layers on this one. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a few little lines for my branches that are going to be coming out. I like to make one coming from the bottom and going up, one from the top kind of coming down, and then like a little one in the corner over here. And then I'm going to start adding my leaves to those. I'm going to do, my leaves are just little football shapes. You know, I kind of do the, they're kind of thin at one side, thin at each side, and then wider in the middle. And then I like to tap just a little extra pigment at the base of them when I paint them. And I'm going to do that over here. Just sort of a little bit to the left and right. Just sort of being mindful of where I've placed my other leaves so I don't crash them into each other. And it's really important to get that point as you come to the stem. If you end up making your leaf too wide as it hits the stem, it won't look quite as sort of dainty and organic. I'm just going to do a little half leaf right here. Maybe a little more. Okay, and then a couple of them over here. So you can see I just sort of made this one pull to the side a little bit so that there's room for it amidst the other leaves. And then a little one kind of over here. All right, I feel pretty good about that spacing of my leaves. Some of these, sometimes as watercolor dries, it lightens a little bit. Sometimes I will just go through and deepen the color on a portion of the leaf just to make sure it has a nice shadow on it and that they all look pretty consistent. So now that I've got my leaves done, I'm going to come and add these little berries, which are super simple. The nice thing about tags is they are so little that it's really easy to paint the elements on them because you don't have to have really any detail. So I'm just taking that little brush and sort of tapping it off on my palette a couple times. So I'll swirl and then tap off to make sure I don't have any drips that are going to come off because I'm painting so small. If I have a blob of water, that's not going to, it's going to mess up my whole painting here. So I'm going to come through, and I like to do berries in little groups of maybe 2 or 3. And just little red circles. Simple enough. Okay, there we go. It's coming together. Now I will make sure that's all the way dry, and then I can go over it with my pen. Okay, so this is all dry now. I just used my heat gun to dry it, but something fun that you can do at home is if while you're waiting for one to dry, you can start working on another one. So you can paint 2 or 3 or 4 at a time, and then by the time you're done with the last one, the first one will be dry and you can just keep your whole process rolling. So I'm going to take that micron pen and I'm just going to outline all my leaves first. So I just trace the leaves and do a little line down the middle. And then I will do, sometimes I'll do a really light tracing over the stem. I don't want to totally override the green that I painted down. Okay, so there is my tracing, and I usually will not outline the berries. They're concentrated enough that I don't feel like it really adds much to do it. But that is what it looks like all traced up. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my punch and my twine. So I've got my punch here. Just going to get it right in the middle there. Grab some of my twine. And again, I just loop it over. So I fold it in half. I get the little loop at the top and I stuff it through. And then I take the tails and I put that through the loop. All right, and there is day 2 of our watercolor Christmas tags. So I hope you're enjoying this series. Feel free to check out the other tags in this series. There will be more coming. And we'll just have some fun little Christmas watercolor together. I hope you subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.